When I lay on it, I finally just take a piece of it, try to make a little soft pillow so I can lay on it. Ain't gonna work. I'm sitting in this cell. I'm pacing the floor at nighttime. I'm trying to work out. I'm beating on the thing. I'm trying to rap. I'm doing anything I can to try to occupy my mind, to try to make my body tired, where at the point I can lay down and just pass out. Ain't none of that working. By day number 2, get what? The food that they give me, I'm starving. Stomach touching my back. I ain't got no commissary to eat on top of the little food or whatever that they giving me. Get what? Then I ain't got no cup, so I'm in here trying to drink the water out of the water fountain. And at this point, I've been locked up 2 years and probably almost 3 months. I've been locked up about 2 years and 3 months fighting this case. I done fired 3 lawyers. People done quit answering the phone. These folks ain't trying to change their statement. These folks ain't trying to do what I'm telling them to do. And I done went back and forth to court probably over 20, 25 times. My body, I'm wearing down. And see, that's really what the DA really hope. That when you get locked up, they hope you get to a point of where you say, man, I'd rather go ahead and take some time and go to the penitentiary. But that ain't what's wearing me down. What's wearing me down is my mental. So by the time day 3 get there, man, listen to me. This was the first time I woke up. I was asleep, whatever little sleep I was getting. I have a dream, which was a crazy dream. One of them dreams, it was just extremely crazy. I'm trying to get away from something. I'm running slow, and it's just catching up to me every time. It's just catching up, and I'm moving slow, and I jump out of the dream. When I get out of the dream, I still got this same paper suit on. They won't even give me another one. I wake up, you know what I'm saying, and I go to use the bathroom. And when I use the bathroom, I started crying. When I started crying, I sit down and excuse me, I'm kind of emotional even thinking about it. I sit down on the concrete, and when I sit down on the little whatever was supposed to be my bed, I ended up looking at my wrist. And when I looked at my wrist, I was asking myself, I was like, man, how did I get to this point? I started thinking about all the meds I was taking. I started thinking about all the stuff I was trying to do on my case. I started thinking about all the stuff that I done did to people, stuff that I ain't got. I started thinking about everything, and I'm sitting here, and my thoughts is trying to convince me that I deserve the punishment that I was going through. But at the same time, I was like, man, I didn't ask to be here. You know what I'm saying? I was playing the cards that I was dealt. Like, I'm literally talking to myself talking back. I'm conversing. I'm having a whole conversation. I'm on a mental breaking point right here, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, this ain't gonna never be like, this ain't gonna never, like, what in the world is going on? This is probably one of them times, and when I had 2 or 3 times where I was sitting in the cell and I started questioning, is the Most High even real? How is it that he say he knew me before the wound? And if you knew me before the wound, then you knew everything that I was gonna go through, and you knew about this specific day right here. You knew about the event that was gonna transpire, that was gonna send me to prison. Not only that, you knew about the family that I was birthed into that had trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. You knew about the lineage, the bloodline of the men who was in and out of prison, in and out of trouble, who was criminal, who was violent, who was abusive. You knew about all of this stuff. Why let me be born and birthed into this bloodline that was going to stream through me, that was going to have me at this very day sitting in this cell? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, like, what have I done? And I started realizing how serious it is. Because being in the streets, like I said in the last video, the ideal versus the reality, it was a mirage. It was all fake. It was smoke and mirrors. So when it came to the enemy, who I'm referring to as the devil, he's so tricky and so crafty, because you think of carrying these guns, you think of doing all hitting these licks, you think of selling dope and having money, you thinking that you somebody and thinking that you got something going on. But the minute they boom, close that door and you sitting on the 23-1, you sitting on maximum security, you barely able to use the phone, you ain't getting no mail, people done turn their back, you ain't got no commissary, stomach touching your back, you start losing weight, you trying to do everything you can to occupy your mind, and you realize all the street crazy, all the street stripes in the world don't amount to this. I'm sitting here and I'm saying, life is passing me by. Everybody who I thought was my homie, they ain't my homie. They living their life. They laid up with their girlfriends right now. They finna go wherever they going. They going out to eat. They taking trips. They going, man, listen. And I'm sitting here and it's like I'm having a flash. You know how they say when you die, they say like all your life flashed before you. I don't know if that's true or not, but this is the experience I was having when I woke out of that dream and used the bathroom. My entire life flashed before me. Matter of fact, I seen a glimpse of the future of me growing and being in prison and everybody's life just continuing to move on. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And then the thing that break your heart the most in jail and in prison is that the girl that I was dealing with, she done moved on already. My child mama, who I love dearly, she done moved on already. The women that, you know what I'm saying, I'm thinking, man, this is crazy. Like, you thinking being whatever that is in front of girls, you know what I'm saying, you thinking they really like that and that's what makes them attractive to you. And what you don't realize is as soon as they put the cuffs on you and you go to the jail, it's gonna be somebody else who gonna be trying to holler at her and eventually gonna get in her drawers and gonna be dropping pee. And you gonna be sitting in here with the heartache trying to write letters and call and apologize, ask her to wait, hoping she picked the phone up. And get what you don't probably know is she probably laying next to the dude, she just still answering the call. He just ain't got in her ear already to convince you, to convince her to go ahead and cut you completely out. But eventually, guess what? It's gonna happen. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? So I gotta go to court the next morning. I don't even go back to sleep. I'm sitting here. Remember what I said? I ain't had no shower. Ain't even no soap in here. So, of course, at this point, you know what I'm saying, when you can smell yourself, but at the same time, you can't even smell yourself because it's like you done got immune to the smell. So if somebody pop the door open, they're going to be able to smell it immediately because that smell is unfamiliar to them. To me, it's done become familiar. So they take me to intake. As I'm walking the intake, I'm in handcuffs and shackles. They had to put me back in my regular clothes. I'm already knowing, listen to me, arms kicking. I'm talking about Bruce Lee, I'm talking about Johnny Bravo, kicking. So finally I get in the police car, they escort, they drive me to court. When I get to court, they put me in a little box where my lawyer can come and talk to me. My lawyer come in the box. As soon as my lawyer hit the door, she walk in, I'm looking at her, she looking at me, we looking at each other. She said, dang, you stink, Joe. She's like, you didn't take a shower before you came? I said, man, listen, Joe. I told her, I said, man, they got me on suicide watch for one. She was like, what in the world are you on? So I tell her the situation. But then I tell her, I said, wow, I'm sitting on suicide watch. I said, I ain't been able to take no shower for the last 3 days. I said, look at my eyes. She said, I can see. I said, I ain't had no sleep. I ain't had nothing to eat. I said, I'm starving, this is that. And I'm telling her all this stuff. She said, well, soon as court over today, if you don't take this deal or whatever we're gonna do, she was like, I'll make sure I call River Bend and tell River Bend to try and see what I can do to get you moved off of suicide watch. She said, but 9 times 10 ain't gonna be too much I can either do to get you moved off suicide watch because they gotta follow protocol. I said, trust me, I know. I've been on suicide watch 3 or 4 times playing with these folks, and this time is the last time. So this is when they come down on the deal. They offer me 12 years. I tell her, go get me an 8. I'm still shooting for that 8. She come back and say, they said to split the difference and give you a 10. I didn't want to take the deal. No good. But I asked her, I said, is my family out there? She was like, nah, your family ain't out there. Ain't nobody out there. So that was one of the things, that was one of the factors I played in. Let me go ahead and sign this, go do my time and get out and do what I need to do. And look at me today. So look, check this out. So then I'm thinking, if I don't sign this, I have to go back to maximum security. I gotta go back. And they're gonna put me back on suicide until they do whatever they need to do. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'd rather take this deal than go back and be on suicide and have to deal with what I was going through. And I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Sometimes, you know how they say, he don't always be there when you need him, but he show up on time. When they say the Most High is good and the Most High and he good all the time, sometimes it sounds so cliche. Sometimes you can't see them because everything is so loud, everything is so chaotic, everything is so crazy, everything is so dysfunctional. You attach to things that you know that you shouldn't be attached to. You in circumstances and situations and predicaments that you don't want to be in a tough predicament. But see, let me tell you something about the spirit. The spirit, it overpowers any kind of enemy, any kind of wickedness. And when it's fighting for you, it may not look like it doesn't look like what you want it to look like. See, when I was sitting in that mattress, when I was sitting on that suicide watch, what I couldn't understand, there might have been some pressure that was being put on my spirit so I could sign that 10 years and eventually not try to go to trial and sign my entire life away. But at the same time, it might have been, it was also an opportunity for me to sit there and see all the things that I see, feel all the things that I felt. Because I'm going to tell you something, my heart was so callous and so cold. Had I not had several experiences like that, excuse me, I never would have got to the place that I am today in my mental. It was things that I know had to be broken. See, it's certain things that the Most High has to break in you. And sometimes to get to some of the people who are so bullheaded, so hard-headed, you know what I'm saying? He had to put you in some of the worst situations, some of the worst predicaments, put you in some, give you some of the worst turnout in order for you to look at the situation and come to your senses like the prodigal son. It don't always feel good. You think and listen to me, it's always purpose in the pain. It's just so hard to see it when you're going through it. You don't want to embrace it because you want to question it. And you question it because you asking yourself, why do I have to go through what I'm finna go through? But see, it's not about what happened to you, it's about how you respond. Most people don't respond the way that they should respond because they too focused on the hurt. You too focused on the pain. You too focused on being the victim. And when you have a victim mentality, you can never come out of it and see the light at the end of the tunnel and learn how to turn that pain into purpose because you want to have a victim mentality. So I thank the Most High that I don't have a victim mentality, that I was able to see, that I was able to come into an understanding and see if I continue, then it's going to get worse because I've seen people come to prison, experience the similar things that I have experienced, and they get harder on the inside. Their heart get harder. Their mind get more manipulative. Their mind get more cunning. They go and they want to get more slicker than whatever they were, and they become worse than what they were. Their conditions get worse, and they get out of prison and they want to bring the gang mentality to their communities and to their homeboy. They want to bring the penitentiary finesse into the community. They want to bring the penitentiary lifestyle into the community, and a lot of them end up where? They end up back in jail with more time than they had the first time they went, or they end up in the graveyard. See, it ain't about what happened to you, it's about how you respond. I'm grateful for every single painful moment that I felt before I went to prison, and also when I was in jail, and when I was in prison, and I'm painful for the things that I felt the 5 years that I've been home. It's been times I've been home when I had to sit and ask myself, what are you doing? Then I have to reflect on what I've been through, and then I say to myself, I'm great. If you talk to anybody that has been close to me, they'll tell you, every now and then you'll hear him say, I'm great, and I'm gonna be greater. And I say that on the strength of, I've come too far. I've went through too much. I've seen too much for me to just say, this is what my life is gonna be. Because that's not what I want. And if you one of them people who, you got people who not optimistic, they pessimistic. Only thing you do is reflect on how bad things either gonna turn out, how negative it's gonna be, and you never see something that can be progressive. You never see growth. You always see a dead end. You are one of them people who feel like it's been going good for a certain amount of time. Eventually, I'm gonna hit a wall. Listen to me. Let me tell you something. Take this from me. I have never been one of them people that feel like it ain't. No, there is always a way. If there's a will, there is a way. I don't care what situation that you in. It's people who sitting in prison right now, they know for a fact they'll never get out. But understanding that it ain't about what happened, it's about how they respond. They still make the best of their time. They freer than some of the people who out here in the free world. You could be on the verge of being homeless right now. You could be homeless right now. It's really about how you respond. There's so many homeless people out here right now, and I'm glad I'm even thinking of this right now. If you sit down with half of them right now, they got a life story that's out of this world. If somebody would sit down with majority of the homeless people in this world and wrote books for them, they will be able to present themselves a whole better life. You might not like your job right now. Guess what? It's a simple decision that you can make that can change that. You can start doing research. You can start reading. It's so much that you can do. Social media is the great equalizer. It don't matter who you are. If you find something that you like to do, you find a niche, you learn how to work social media. Social media can change your life. Listen to me. It's not about what happened to you. It's about how you respond. And I sit back and I say, you know what? I'm great. And I'm going to be greater. I'm 5 years in. 5 books in. 3 albums in. Social media. Left my hometown. Cut off my old friends. What more can I ask for, man? Y'all be blessed.